Welcome back to Midlife Crisisses. I'm Tyson, one of the hosts. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. All of that stuff helps us continue to do this podcast, and we would appreciate if you would continue to do that each and every episode. We love you guys so much. We want to keep doing this, and that is one of the ways to guarantee. Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Guarantee it. Yeah,
okay, that we will keep doing this. So smash that subscribe button, that like button, that follow button, whatever buttons are there, smash them all.
And we really want to hear from you guys too. We want to hear about your midlife crises. We want to know what kind of stuff you are going through so that we can talk about it and share our insights about trying to survive this bull as well. So
let's get into it.
How do you guys deal with comparison? There's a whole range there. Like, does the comparison fire you up and motivate you, or does it get you discouraged?
As a photographer, I deal with it all the time. Like, I'd post something and then be proud of it, and then look at my feed and see something that has more likes or I perceive as being better, and then that would bum me out.
Growing up, I was hyper competitive in the things I wanted to be competitive in. I had to be the best. I think there was a part of me that at some point was like, we can celebrate other people's successes too. What's up, everybody? This is the Midlife Crisisses, and we are going through it. I'm one of your hosts, Tyson Apostol, here with another host, top underwater photographer west of the Mississippi.
Yep.
William Drumm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Professional underwater watch photographer.
Oh,
been doing a lot of those lately.
Nice.
Wow. I don't have one
you like
of those.
That one?
I
That's
do.
nice.
It's pretty.
I do like
it's
that
very
one.
pretty.
That's
the
the full
color combo.
Yeah.
Full loom.
Yep.
I've been renting the pools in Denver. I told you guys recently that one of my New Year's resolutions was to do 20 underwater model shoots.
Do you
I
already
saw
get
on
it
social, you're already knocking them out.
I've done 5 so far, but I'm going for it. I'm invested. I'm having so much fun. Last night I just dreamed about different photos like all night. Like I kept on waking up in the middle of the night and thinking about different photos, different
I love it.
Types of reflections I want to get off the surface, like all this kind of stuff. So I'm feeling very artistically motivated right now.
Is that what it's like to have a passion?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Wow. It's interesting. I've never.
Tyson's like, is that caring? Is that what caring about something is? Wow.
But your goal was 20 for the year.
And you're already at 5?
And you're already at 5.
This gets into my question. This is good stuff right here.
All right. Well, Bradley.
I'm going to swing right into it. It's been a good week here. There's some questions as to some work. This is something we are always dealing with here, you know, some work going away, coming, whatever. But within that, and kind of piggybacking on what William was talking about, how do you guys deal with competition? Not competitiveness, sorry, comparison. How do you deal with comparison? And, you know, there's a whole range there. Like, does the comparison fire you up and motivate you, or does it get you discouraged, or is it like people on social that you stop following? How does mental health factor into that? And then how has that changed too as we've gotten older, maybe more comfortable with it, or maybe, you know, I think when we talked about like, how do you define a midlife crisis? Part of what we were talking about as the crisis is when you look around and see other people further along than you, better relationships than you, bigger house, nicer cars, you know, more investment, healthier, you know, whatever the thing is. But it's also been said that comparison is the thief of joy. So, you know, once you start doing that, it's tough. So I just wanted to kind of throw that one out there and see where you guys land on that. And also, how do you deal with it? You know, maybe it doesn't factor into your life at all, or maybe it's a daily struggle.
Great question. It's a really good question. As a photographer, I deal with it all the time, and my views on it have changed a lot. Yeah, you have to. It used to really be a hindrance for me. Like I would constantly, like I'd post something and then be proud of it, and then look at my feed and see something that has more likes or I perceive as being better, and then that would bum me out. So it used to really be a hindrance. I think at this point, I've got a lot better at taking it for everybody's different. Everybody's audience is different. Everybody's creating different content. So I think it's more of a motivating factor for me now. But I think earlier it was especially related to mental health and just making me feel like shit. I was not good at comparison at all.
Earlier, like a year ago, or like 10 years ago?
Like years
how's
ago,
that evolution been? Okay.
Like 5-8 years ago.
Okay.
And I still have it sometimes, of course, but part of it's also because I've leveled up myself too with my photography, that it's been easier for me to take. I've got a lot more experience now, a lot more wisdom, and I just know that people go through different phases in their career, and like there's people who can start off super strong, have all this amazing stuff, and at one point I'd be like, wow, this guy's going to be so legendary, he's going to be the best. But now I've just seen so many people who go in hard, get great stuff, get sidetracked to other things, and then end up falling off. So yeah, I think it's wisdom has helped a lot, and experience. And now I mostly look at it for inspiration. So I've got an album on my phone that's screenshots of great photos that I love. And if I see something great, I usually take a screenshot and add it to there. So I think at this point, I use it more for creative ideas. But that's just one element of your question too. Because there's also, of course, just comparison
in life.
You know, that's like, that's like artistic work comparison. And in comparison at life, I do get jealous of other people still sometimes. I think, once again, less than I used to. But it is hard seeing people who have that, you know, dream life that you think. But then also, once again, you don't really know that from social media or from just seeing, you know, without actually talking to the people. So,
and even talking to them a lot of time, they're masking. They're going to mask
100%.
some stuff, like people put on their best face. Yeah, I do, like, growing up younger, I was a competitive athlete and all of that stuff. And I think I was hyper competitive in the things I wanted to be competitive in. I had to be the best. And so I would put in extra work, do secret work to get better, do all of those things. And then, I think that there was a part of me that at some point was like, we can celebrate other people's successes too. It doesn't have to, I'm not competing with everyone all the time over everything.
Right.
And so I kind of made that shift a bit mentally, or tried to. Still, I wanted to be the best at everything that I wanted to be the best at, but other people could be the best at their things.
You didn't have to be the best across the board at absolutely everything.
Correct.
An impossibility, really.
And that was really kind of you to give that to.
Thanks. Thanks for leaving some scraps on the table, Tyson.
What a guy.
But like those things that I couldn't or didn't want to put in the effort to be the best, I would purposely probably sabotage myself a little bit to be less good at those things, so that it showed that I didn't care about those things. Like math class in high school, like I was near the top at some point, but kind of fell off and was like, I don't even care about math. I failed. Now I'm a failure at math, you know, like,
so take that. And then I don't have to try.
Yeah. You can have that. I don't care about math.
Yeah.
And so like stuff like that, I think I did, especially through high school and stuff like that. And then my life was so unconventional because I moved to Europe and was a pro cyclist, and a lot of people had a lot more money than me. A lot of people were financially more successful, but in my mind, I was free of the corporate shackles and and I was like, they don't even know that they're jealous of me, maybe, but they are when they're in their cubicle sad or at
how could
home
you not
stressing
be?
About their job. They have to be.
Sure.
And even if I'm riding in the pouring rain or it's freezing cold and I have to get my 6-hour ride in that day, I would still be like, at least I'm not the guy making $500,000 in his cubicle. You
with
know,
no time to spend it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, and I think that was probably justification, but also like, yeah, I kind of thought that I was doing the cool thing. Now it's weird because like I've done pretty good, and I'm not really, a lot of people have a lot more stuff than me and have I wish I could fly private jet, own a private jet, be a billionaire, do that stuff. Well, that would be awesome. But I don't. But I don't also care to put in the work.
Right. To get to that point.
Yeah. I'm like, I'd rather Like if you were like Tyson, you could have $50 million at the end of a 15-year 9-to-5 corporate gig. You got to drive into Phoenix every day. You don't even have to do shit. Just go there to the office, and you have to be there from 9 to 5. And
you have to
can't
spend
be on
your time.
You have
basically.
to spend, and you can't be on your phone all day. You have to like be at our service, but it's nothing special. I think I would say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
at this point in our life, for sure. Like if you were 15 and someone gave you that idea, you'd be like, man,
still
I don't know. No?
Because, when you're 15 and you're looking at 30. Yeah, exactly. That's what so I don't feel that. True. But I'm at a point, I'm also in a competitive career in entertainment industry where I have been. And I'm in like this weird limbo because reality TV is making a resurgence, and there's like a renaissance of reality TV. They're doing all these hybrid shows, like The Traders is on Peacock, Deal or No Deal Island. They're inviting all these Survivor contestants back. I've been on The Challenge. I've been on all these different shows, and I see friends getting invited to these shows. And I've already decided that I'm not going to do very many more shows because I like to stay with my family and my kids, and I don't have to do shows. I can make it work without going on shows and getting that paycheck. But every time a new cast announcement comes out,
kind of sting a little.
It does sting a little. I get FOMO for a couple days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the hype kind of dies down. And also I'm surrounded by it. So the hype for me is magnified because I'm in the shit.
You're now commenting on it as well. So you're bringing it up because of what you're doing with podcasts and just your world.
It's like my algorithm is designed around it too. So I'm seeing it constantly. And so I'm thinking this is what the world's seeing is this major hype.
That's such a good point.
New show, but it's actually just this algorithm because I'm already connected to it. Yeah. And so I'm like, and it's not that I'm like, oh, I wish I had that and they didn't. I was like, oh, that would be nice to be a part of something with hype because I'm a narcissist and I love the adoration of strangers.
Yeah, no, I think everyone does to some degree.
So
everyone loves that like dopamine hit of like you matter or you're wanted. I mean, it's like carnal, right? It gets back to like the basis of humanity. It's like the simple aspect to that. I remember being a kid and being like, I don't want to go. I remember this guy had a birthday party. He was such a popular kid. I didn't even like him. I didn't like any of the people going. I didn't want to go, but I wanted to be invited, And
that's how I,
yeah, for sure.
I want the shows to call me so I can say, probably not.
Yeah. Thank you. Clearly I'm still relevant.
And then I can go on a podcast and be like, I actually said no to them.
They
asked. I said
there's
no.
a lot going on.
And there's a lot of reality contestants that lie about saying no to shows, and that's their way of dealing with it. I will never do that to my audience. I will never do that to my audience. I won't lie about a show calling or not calling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you do to like, do you just sit in it for a couple of days or do you unfollow accounts? You stay away from your phone?
No.
You don't watch the shows? Like, how do you?
I'm supportive of my friends. I'm very happy that my friends are there and I'm excited to watch. And that's the other thing. Like I have friends on these shows. So I like to support my friends and watch these shows. And then part of it is like,
that is cool.
I could be successful on that show. That's not a big deal for me. I have the capacity to do that. So that's also part of it. But generally after the big hype, it kind of dies down. And to be honest, being on these shows can be a real headache dealing with all the personalities. It's not like there's fun parts and there's fun aspects, and Survivor's extra fun because you're out on an island in the ocean, like just you and the elements. And I like that. But these other shows where they jam you in a mansion with a bunch of the most eccentric weirdos that they could find, who all think that they deserve camera time more than anybody else there.
Yep.
That's a real headache. And I am like, I'm 45. Do I want my legacy to be me?
I'm
like
a grown ass man.
Yeah.
I don't need that shit.
I'm fighting over camera time. Like my kids are like, well, I'll remember our father fondly as the man who competed for camera time over the wackadoos from all of the cable shows.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a legacy.
Yeah. Where it's like, I can't even imagine like my father's generation. Like it took my dad a while to wrap his head around exactly what I do to get paid. And even still, I think he's like, is that man's work? Is it? Like I don't know how he feels about it, but like I can imagine him, like he's like, He works construction with big timber.
Oh yeah.
Hands have been calloused since whenever. Birth. He can do build anything from a house, any problem, anything. He can design from design all the way to every single aspect of construction. And I can't do any of that. So he's like, what do you bring to the planet, Tyson? And I was like, the people that know me are happy usually. I bring smiles on their faces sometimes if I say the right thing, and sometimes I totally miss. And sometimes I say something that actually makes their day worse. Like, I don't know, Dad.
That's hilarious. I gotta go. Bye, Dad.
So,
you're breaking up. Sorry, Dad. We'll call you later.
So and that's part of like, I don't know. So I don't get as competitive, but I do get that FOMO with those shows initially and the hype and the bump. And then I'm like, but then I'd have to be away from my kids. And then everybody's telling me how fun it is. And then on social media, I have fans being like, you should totally do this show. I was like, it's not up to me to do the show. It's up to the powers that be. And then you're back in it. And then you're actually, it's not a 9 to 5, but you're still a corporate, shield at that point.
Whenever they tell you got to go on this show, you got to do this interview, you got to whatever. It's not your time anymore, right? And that's part of what you sign away.
Yeah. Here's how high you're going to jump and how often you're going to do it. And it's for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
So then is your comparison mostly based around other like reality TV people, like people who've been on these shows and are on these shows?
Yeah, probably. And then also like when I take a job, part of my motivating factor is because I've been on the other end of it before, is knowing who's going to be absolutely bothered by me being there instead of them. Mm-hmm. So there's these grudges I have with reality contestants that I either don't like or think are too entitled or something. And so I'm like, I should take this job just because it's going to bug the shit
out of
this person when they're like, how come I? And so I was like, I got to do that like out of spite. Like I'm driven to take jobs, which is, is that healthy?
Sorry, honey, I'll be home in a year.
Yeah.
I want to make Todd mad.
Yeah, exactly.
Todd. Oh, he'll know. All right. What? Bye, kids. I'll see you next year. Happy birthday. I'll see you soon.
I don't know if it's healthy, but it brings you a lot of joy. So maybe it is. I mean,
exactly.
If it brings you a lot of joy to really stick it to Todd, then might as well.
It's not Todd. I love Todd. There actually is a Todd
who
won Survivor. Of course, and we love Todd.
Okay,
we're not going to name the names. The people will know the names of the most of the people, but there's, and it's even people I haven't even met that I just like feel are entitled brats from being on reality TV. Like, So but comparison there, yes. Otherwise, like financially, no, like I look around and I'm like, no, I'm pretty blessed. Like I live in a beautiful neighborhood and I'm home quite a bit and I'm with my kids all the time. And so I don't get that. And I have had like, to be honest, I don't know. I could live well below what I'm living and still be like the only reason I'm living like I am is for my kids.
Yeah.
So that my kids can.
It's not just bean and rice for dinner every night.
Exactly.
You're like, I could do that.
I could do that.
Bugs in the stand.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with beans.
You know how rich I'd be if I just ate lentils every day?
Then you could finally get the tattoo that you're supposed to get this year. So that would be great.
I know. Speaking of, I think the thing that probably I'm the most envious of, and it's not even like a true envy. It's just like William talked about, like not being able to go to Shaolin as much as he wanted. And I'm like, I play pickleball a couple times a week, but like, I wish I had the motivation to just get in better physical shape. I used to be so ripped and in top 1% of 1%.
Yeah.
And I just do not have any morsel of desire to do the work to be that anymore.
Yeah.
But I would want to be that. Without
you got that new camera that follows you around. I think it's okay with me and Bradley if you just work out during the podcast.
Yeah,
I wouldn't though.
2 birds with one stone.
Like my wife is like, let's go to the gym. I was like, I hate the gym. I hate everything about the gym. I hate having people there that are kind of looking at. That's where comparison happens all the time. And I'm not comparing myself to them, but I know that they're looking at me like, what kind of exercise? Because I do weird exercises in the gym because I was like a cyclist and stuff. So it's like I'm doing like these
You're that
good
guy?
morning
Every
lower
gym
back
has
stuff.
that guy. Yeah,
but it's not like super weird. It's just like I go in and I'm just like trying to do as many pull-ups as I can, like 10 sets. And then and then these guys are like bench pressing 300 pounds. And I'm sure and I'm not like wearing any clothing that's specifically designed to work out at the gym. So I'm also
jeans with
I'm just like in like basketball shorts and like a sweatshirt. And I just know that I feel judged. Yeah. And I'm not going to change it to try and fit in. Cause I'm very, very skinny. Like, look, I can put my hands are not that big and I can close my fingers around my wrists overlapped. No problem.
Oh yeah. I can't do that.
And
can you do that, William? Is that a test of something? I can touch, but I can't overlap.
I can touch halfway down my arm.
Weak wrists for the pickleball player.
They're skinny. I don't know if they're weak, but they are skinny. Fair. And so like gym things, like, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I think I got off topic, but,
well, I think jealousy and comparison are both kind of in the same boat. I'm not necessarily sure what the difference is. Maybe jealousy is like an activation of it, like the comparison happens, and then what do you do with it from there? Almost like you can get mad at someone, but you don't swing on them, right? That's what we're teaching our 4-year-old. So it's like the comparison, feeling that, I think, isn't wrong. That's natural. That's nature. You see a thing and you're like, it's bigger than me. It's smaller than me. Like, it's better than me. It's quicker than me. But then what do you do with it? And I think that jealousy is where it can kind of get, like, it can make you sick, right? Yeah. It can really hurt you.
And the comparison, honestly, is the motivation to improve in those. I think if you are comparing yourself in that capacity where you might be getting jealous, then that's maybe something you care about. And it's a motivating factor to do better or to strive for more excellence in that field. And it's like, the problem with me is that, like, I didn't want to be anything growing up. Like, we've had that conversation like way in the past. Like, I didn't really have a thing where I was like, this is what I'm going to be, and I'm going to be the best at this thing in those moments. And so now it's just like, how do I make a little bit more for my family? How do I do? And it's not necessarily like, if I become a better photographer, I will hopefully, like, if I hone my craft, I will hopefully get paid more. I will get more jobs and I will be more recognized. Like, I don't like.
And that's where I think comparison's hard, when it's in an area that you can't control, right? Like, I think working out is something you could control. You could put in the time. You could hire a personal trainer. You could whatever, join the gym. Like,
what
those
a
things.
Nightmare. All of those things are fucking nightmares.
Tyson's like throwing up in his mouth right now. He's like, those are all trigger words.
Personal trainer.
You would be a great celebrity personal trainer. Just like posing as one. All right, come on and bring Todd in. I'm going to personally train Todd.
Yep.
But I think like when you're talking about, especially on the creative side, like William, it's so hard, I think, to be like, I'm going to become a better photographer, therefore this thing will happen. Because there's no guarantees with that. Art is so hard. I found, like, as an actor, that was so difficult. LA was just rife with every corner you turn, every restaurant you walk into, like, you working in a restaurant or you're eating at a restaurant, you're listening to people and people's conversation. Oh yeah, this audition, or like, I'm submitting this. What are you doing? Like, what's your name? What are you doing? That's basically, like, identity is so enmeshed in a place like LA. And like, what are you working on? What are you doing? I sold this script. You sold a script. Shoot, I should write a script. Maybe I should be writing a script.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not even that funny. Maybe I should do this. He booked this guest star. How did you do it? Well, I went to a bunch of casting directors. Okay, so I should probably do that. How about you? No, I just made a funny video, and the casting person is my dog groomer's friend, and they called me in. And you're like, what? How do I do that? So it's like, it's so tough to compare yourself. I have a good friend of mine. He was in Juilliard with Adam Driver, who was in Star Wars and so many other cool things. He was
Girls.
Girls. Yep. That was like his big breakout.
Yeah.
And Jessica Chastain. they were all in his class together, and they were all like in acting workshops together and everything. And he just stayed at this level of like having to work in restaurants and 9 to 5s. And these guys just got this meteoric like rise. And, you know, we talked about that a lot because it was like, what does that do for you? Like, is that encouraging? Like, yay, it's possible. Or is it discouraging? Like, I did the exact same thing. 1 + 1 does not equal 2. So what then?
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I think as I've gotten older, I've been able to acknowledge just because I do these things, it doesn't equate to that. And I guess that's okay. Like William, you said before, kind of like basically everybody's got their own race to run. Everybody's unique. You bring, you know, your own self to the table. There's only one of you in the world, all that kind of stuff. But that gets hard. I've had to unfollow people on social because it's hard for me to see them, you know, driving that car and living in that house with this beautiful family and doing all these things. And then, and to your point earlier, William, as well, then you see, oh, actually, well, they just got a divorce, and who knows when the guy sees the kids. He looks like he's been on a drug bend. Are
you celebrating these losses for these people?
No, I'm not, because ultimately
Tyson would be
people. Oh yeah, over the
no, I would not.
Todd is burning.
I wouldn't. No, but I was just like, yeah. So you unfollow these people.
So I originally unfollowed these people because I just don't want it in my face, because it's not realistic. Yeah. A, because it's social media. No, it's not realistic. But B, it's not realistic because then you find out like, oh, that guy is actually like the son of a hyper wealthy banker in Switzerland.
Yeah, totally.
Who, you know, has done all these things. And he's like, he's self-made, but he's not, because there's a level of, you know, just kind of luck. You're born into that family kind of thing. So, you know, but you don't see any of that. You just see the cover of the book. You don't take the time to read the pages. And so you don't know the full story. And so I think as I've gotten older, I've tried to become more okay with who I am and where I am. But I also know as like, if you know, people listening are like young parents, there were so many times, it is this way a little bit as well, because my 4-year-old has autism. And so there's certain social environments, it's just impossible for us as a family to go places and do things. And, you know, we're working on tools to get ourselves back into that or whatever. But I remember even with just my daughter, when she was young, and I would see families going out to eat and just sitting, or like couples with no kids and stuff. And you're just like, what is that like? What is dinner at 8 o'clock at a restaurant without a kid throwing something at your face? Or just feeling so like shitty. I had some of the most embarrassing moments in my life have happened with my kids doing stuff that I'm like, I am so sorry, you know, and things like that. And so there are those moments too that I'm like, I look over here, and that's when the comparison turns to jealousy a little bit, where it's kind of like, what if, you know? And I would never in 1,000 lifetimes be like, I don't want my kids. I'm a better human.
No.
Yeah, being married. I'm a better human for being if I have my kids. I do like vacations without them sometimes. You know, I love my kids, but I don't always love being a parent. And that's basically it. So I think there's other comparisons too that can go in that way. And look, you could also say, you know, there's families out there with kids in the hospital all the time. You know, there's like, and wouldn't it be nice if that wasn't us? Like, look at that, honey. That family just paid for the vacation to Disney and they went for 2 weeks, and, you know, they didn't have to save up for. There's so many ways that you can get into that. And so like staying in your lane is something that I'm trying to get better at as I get older. And when you're younger, I think maybe it feels like your lane is wider. You could do anything. Tyson wanted to be the best at absolutely everything. When you're young, you're like,
no, I just felt like I should be. I didn't like,
should be. Okay.
The desire to be the best all the time wasn't there. But like, if we were doing something, I better be the best. Otherwise, like,
I'm out.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm sad,
I'm done.
Or I'm going to prove to you how little I care about this by absolutely failing.
Terrible.
You missed the putt. I wanted to miss the putt. Guess what else I'm going to do?
Golf stupid. That's why.
It was invented by racists. I'm out.
Yeah. I bet you practice all the time. I never do, because it's like boring.
Right. To shield yourself from the reality that you may actually not be the best at something. Yeah.
I'm bad at golf.
I get it. Oh, I'm terrible at golf. It's no fun. Feel like you play golf? I'm like, I can golf, but I don't play golf.
Yeah. I say no now. Bradley, I wanted to touch on that, like out to dinner stuff, jealousy. Like Rachel, my wife, a few years ago, she just like had this outburst where she was like, we're surrounded. She's like, we need to move because we're surrounded by people. Every time we go out to eat, all I see is old people. And that's all this place is. I was like, Arizona is a retirement place. It's a place people come to retire, which actually is kind of nice. And B, we have small kids. So we go out to eat at 4:30 to 5:30 when all the old people go to eat. So all you're seeing is old people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Go out with your friends at night. You'll see younger people, but it's not that you're surrounded. It's just that our schedules are the same. And young families with young kids, with younger parents, may not have the means to go out to eat all the time. So we're in that spot where we have young kids and we're able to go out to eat often enough. And all we're seeing is geriatrics. Like, that's it.
Mix. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywhere we go, it's going to be that.
Yeah.
So
early dinner, by the way, huge fan. Huge fan
Love
of
it.
early dinner. Big
Love
fan.
it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was so against it. Like I used to be like, whoa, like a lunch.
We're doing dinner at 5. Come on.
That's more of like a dunch or a dinner. Come on.
For sure.
And
Leonard.
now I'm just like, oh, dude, it's 4:30. Should we, if we're going to go out to dinner, we should go now.
It's also because I want to wrap the day up. I'm like, can we just kind of end everything? Let's do a 4:30 dinner.
Kids go to bed. We're going to watch TV.
Yeah.
There's a lot of days where I'm eating breakfast at like 3:30, 4, where I don't eat anything
in the afternoon or morning.
Ooh. By design?
No, I just get super busy, take Rowan to school, come back, have a bunch of meetings, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I feel really shitty right now. I should probably eat food because it's 4 PM and I haven't eaten yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you can get ripped. The Tyson lentils method.
I don't actually think you can. I
don't think so either.
Because I still do that. I'm not a big breakfast guy, and I am trying to get fuel in my body in the morning because I am not even hungry. Like I haven't eaten anything. I've had one coffee. It's 11. I'm probably not going to eat anything for another couple hours, but I should eat something. And I think that that's the way to get ripped, is to eat the right things more consistently throughout the day.
Yeah.
And that's also part of getting older too, is now that I'm getting older, like if I don't eat, then I don't think as well. If I don't sleep, then I don't think as well. Like I need to eat and sleep to be able to
How vital
function.
that nutrition is.
gosh.
Yeah. You're 20, you could just do whatever, drink whatever, eat whatever, or not sleep for 3 hours or 23 hours. It's like the impenetrable.
And it's mood too.
force.
Like, especially like when I'm going through stuff, like
that's a good
my
point.
depression, like all that is way worse if I'm not eating. And like, it's really important. And it's so easy not to do. One thing that I have comparisons about, and sometimes jealousy too, is like seeing families with more than one kid. Because Rowan always wants a sibling. She's always talking about how much she wants a sibling. And I see kids playing together, siblings playing together, and they always seem so happy. And I'm just like, God, I want that so bad for Rowan. Especially earlier, like last year, it would be really hard going to the playground or something, and there's siblings playing, and they just like, Rowan doesn't have that, and she's playing by herself. I'm just like, God. But then it's back to with the social media, you don't really know what's actually happening, and I just think, hey, maybe those kids are gonna hate each other. Maybe that older brother is gonna end up being a homicidal maniac and kill the younger sister.
Whoa!
So like,
wow,
you're really getting defense on that one. Not even like he's maybe mean. You went full on jail time right off the top.
Just it's so random. Like, it might be better if she had a sibling. It might be worse.
William,
it is random, but and I don't want to rub it in. My daughters are absolute best friends.
Yeah.
Like
and I'm super close with my sisters.
Yeah. And I'm close enough with my siblings.
But growing up, me and my sister hated each other.
Yeah. And I actually, me and my brother were close. We were close growing up because we're a year and a half apart, but we definitely had our battles. And I don't think we ever considered each other best friends until more closer to adulthood. And whereas I think my kids are truly best friends, but I also think that that's a generational thing where my parents growing up, they were just like, free time, you're off the leash until it gets dark. And that's when dinner is. So you better get home around that time. Because if you don't,
you miss dinner, kitchen's closed.
Yeah. If you don't, if you're not home by curfew, whatever, like this was even like at 7, I'm 7 years old and they're like Saturdays, get out. You know how to get back to the house, right? See ya.
Right? Like they weren't even sure. They're like, get out. Wait, we should check first. You know how to get back here? Right. Okay.
And then my kids, like I never, not in a million years, just turn them loose on the neighborhood. I'd be like, where are you going? Okay, I will follow you.
Let me know when you get there.
No, I will follow you 20 feet behind. And if you want me to pretend like I'm not there so that you're doing something independently, cool. But they're 9 and 6. Yeah. And I don't like, and there's like some wild animals. There's lots of cactuses.
Yeah. That's true.
There's, and you just like, I don't know. I just think it's just a different generation now where the siblings are maybe in my sample size of one family unit. Yeah. Siblings are much closer now than they were a generation or two ago.
That's a really interesting observation. I think that anecdotally that lines up here. My kids are closer than I was with my siblings. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
Does that make you feel worse or better, William?
Neutral.
Okay.
I don't know if it's true. That's why. Like,
because you were super close, you said, right?
I was super close with one of my sisters. The other one I used to brawl with all the time.
Okay.
I'm talking brawls, like blood, throwing shoes.
Full fists?
Full fists.
Wow. Would you, when you turned loose on
and then one time, finally, when I was like, I don't know, 10 or something, I won the fight and my parents were so proud of me. And they were like,
it's done.
Yep. Knew it was going to happen eventually.
That season is over.
You are destined to be a Shaolin enthusiast.
Yeah. That's part of the old school parenting too, where it was like, so my parents would be there like ringside watching us fight and then there's popcorn in their mouth and like,
toughen up.
This is it. Looks like it.
Toughen up.
Yeah, he knocked her tooth out. So that's the end, I guess.
I think that one of the ways that I've avoided some of the cultural comparisons as far as looking at your neighbor and bigger house, all that kind of stuff, is that all I really wanted to do for the last forever was do what I love. Like photography, traveling, like doing stuff that I wanted to do. So I have avoided a lot of that. Oh, that guy's got a higher paying job than me, just through being like myself, like being dedicated to like enjoying nature, enjoying creating. So it's what you were saying, Tyson, earlier, like, yeah, that guy's got a big house, but he works all the time. It's like, I could, especially talking to some people recently, I could be making way less and be just as happy for sure. Especially if I didn't live in Denver. Like I really don't care about money very much at all. Yeah.
We're all moving to Iowa to live that millionaire lifestyle.
Do it.
For me, it's just all about family and nature and like creating. And so like, that's what my comparison would be. And that's a harder thing to compare than if somebody has a nicer car next to you.
Right.
So I think that's avoided some of the comparison.
Yeah. Is that like a true thing or is that like a justification thing? Because I also do that thing. I'm like, oh, they have way more stuff and things, but like I have a closer relationship with my kids because I'm home all the time and I have all my free time to just sit on my couch and scroll my phone at any given moment that I want to and all that stuff. Like, and I feel like so that's blessed. Accurate.
I get to be on my phone 9 hours a day. God, I'm blessed. I'm just
so lucky.
I think it's probably a little bit of both, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just can't ever imagine working for something that I don't like love and that I'm not invested in. And part of that's also ADHD. Like having ADHD, like if I'm not super interested in something, it's very difficult for me to do it. I was talking to my mom about it the other day. Like if there's a subject when I was a kid that I liked, then I was amazing at it. But if I wasn't into it, like I would not even begin to try to do it. And I've kind of just, that's morphed into me just following the things that I love throughout my life.
My fourth grade teacher called my parents in and said, your son is doing so poorly in a lot of these things. I think it's because he's too smart. Let's bump him up to 5th grade. And I was like, oh no. Because I didn't believe that of myself. I just knew I wasn't doing the work. And so I think they used it as a tactic to get me to try harder in school, was tell me they were bumping me up a grade if I didn't pick my grades up.
Wow. That's actually like some real Shaolin mental stuff right there. That's a good move.
Yeah. But so what have we learned? What can our listeners do to avoid getting bummed out by the comparison and the envy or jealousy or whatever that comes from that comparing?
Just comparing yourself to yourself previously and being the best. Like, I think Tyson, because you didn't have these dreams about what you wanted to be when you were older or anything, you ended up just being the best Tyson you could be. And I think that worked out pretty well. I don't even know if I'm the best. I don't think I'm the best Tyson. At least a decent Tyson, like
you're on the way.
That
would make a better. Well, that'd be a better Tyson.
Yeah,
you know? It's a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to leave this podcast today feeling better or worse about my position.
That's our crises, guys. We just don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think. I don't know. When you're young, you know it all. It's all definitive. You get older, you're like, I don't know. I think the takeaway for me is one, and hopefully this does this every episode for our listeners, reminds you there's a community of people that are also like feeling this way. You're not weird to compare yourself. You're not weird to feel jealous about a thing, you know, and you know, to remember, you know, that just because you see the cover doesn't mean you know the book, in terms of like, you know, the behind the scenes. But you know, I think acknowledging that the comparison is okay as long as it doesn't evolve into jealousy. Like, don't get mad if your snap judgment is like, oh, I'm really bummed out that guy got that gig or job or, you know, whatever, but don't let it fester into something that's more, you know, jealous. And I think you got to do those mental health things that help. Maybe unfollow somebody if that's a thing, stay off of social media for that thing. Maybe if every time you go out to dinner, you're jealous of this couple with whatever it is, maybe you back yourself off of that. Maybe you pull yourself away from that a little bit, because that's ultimately a better place to be for you. So I think take care of yourself in that.
Eat some lentils at home instead.
That's right. Done. And I think recognizing it and knowing that everyone is going through it at some level is probably healthy. Like, I think just being like, look at that. And then if you can take a step back and some self-reflection and be like, yeah, everybody's feeling that to some degree. Those people that I'm looking at, that I'm envious of, they're looking at somebody else in envy. Yep. And there's people around me that are looking at me in envy. And that's kind of the circle of life. Yeah. And just, again, like, make progress on the things you want to make progress on. And, so yeah, I think recognizing it and just is like, then you can address it. If you're not recognizing like why you're so bugged or not able to like just think and reflect on it for a moment, then it probably builds. And would it be horrible, Bradley, if someone you unfollowed reached out and was like, hey, why'd you unfollow me? Would you be like, I'm jealous of your life?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, basically, I would say, you know, it wasn't good for my mental health, bro. Like,
or it's not true. What you're living what you're portraying on Instagram isn't true. I believe that in my heart.
I wouldn't go denying them. I would just say like, no, like, here's the deal. Like, I see all these great posts and it looks awesome, and that's not me, and that's not good for me. So,
and keep close tabs on you, Bradley, and who you follow and unfollow.
Yeah, I may unfollow you. You never know. We'll have to see.
I got bad news. I'm going to Disney for Disney Hawaii.
Oh, okay. I was like, we're going in February.
Oh,
but not Hawaii.
World. I didn't know there was a Disney Hawaii.
It's just a hotel resort.
Oh, like Alani or something?
Yeah, it's Alani.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I've never been there, but we're trying that out. But you're going to Disney too. But you did mention people going to Disney, so I was like, oh no, Bradley's going to unfollow me.
No, frankly, if I never went to Disney, then that would be totally fine. But my kids and wife just love it, so I'm on board. You know, I'm the chauffeur.
That's how I am.
Yeah. So, all right.
One last thing, because you get caught in these niches and you think that everybody is one way or another. like just meeting lots of new people and like expanding your horizons and your community. That's a great way to also avoid like the trappings of comparison, because then you end up seeing that, oh yeah, I'm comparing myself to this rich guy next to me, but now I've got this friend Jeff who's broke and happy and like stoked on life. So it's like the more people you meet,
that pool. Yeah, that's good.
And if you can take it one step further and be reverse envious, where you're actually envious of someone who has it worse than you, then you're golden.
Brilliant.
Reverse envious. That's going in textbooks. That's great.
Like when they bumped Tyson's friend down a grade and they were threatening to bump him up a grade.
Yeah.
He was so jealous.
Yes.
Like, oh my God.
I wish I could go back to third grade.
They got to push me further back.
So, all right, that does it this week. We have a special treat for you next time. Until then, like, subscribe, comment, share, do all of those things. Those would really be a blessing to us because everyone should hear this. Just 3 bros going through it. Until next week, see ya.
Peace.